Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to A Hoops Journey, episode 154. The only thing we need you to do is like and subscribe. That costs you no money, just a couple of moves of your thumb, and we appreciate the support. Super thrilled to have a young gun with us today. Chatted with a few people offline about this guy, and have watched a lot of videos and did my own reading on him, and I know he's got a fantastic story to share with us today. Where do I go with it? From, South Sudan to Kenya and back, all the way to Canada, London Basketball Academy, I believe, Temple, North Colorado. We've seen him play with the Bandits, represent Canada at the Global Jam, and he's currently on a forced vacation, which we'll get into. But we are super thrilled to have me in the morning, him 9 hours ahead. Episode 154 with the young fella, Mr. Kur Jongkuch. How are you, sir?
I'm fantastic. Thank you for having me on.
To be honest, it's our privilege and our honor, and we're excited for you to share your story, which you've done many times, but in this platform. So thank you for taking the time to be with us. Tell the listeners a little bit about the forced vacation that you're on and where you're at, and how things are going for you, man.
Things are going pretty good for me. We had our basketball cup for our Slovenian league, and we ended up playing the first place team called Cedevita Olympia. And unfortunately, we lost to them. And since our loss, we weren't unable to make it to the Final Four. So due to that, I got a vacation. I stopped in Denmark here to say what's up to some old teammates of mine. And from here, I'm going to go to Barcelona tomorrow morning. So it's a nice little break that we have. I get to see a little bit of Europe, meet some old friends, see some new things. So I'm going to enjoy it while it lasts.
Now, are these all new places that you're going to go to? Like, are any of them repeats, or is it all just kind of first-time adventures for you?
Barcelona would be a first-time adventure. Here in Denmark, this is where I played last year.
Yeah. Barcelona is amazing. Are you going to, Barcelona. Are you going to make it over to Madrid or just hanging in Barcelona for that time?
Just Barcelona.
Nice. Amazing, man. And then when are you guys back at it?
We start morning practice on Monday, and then we have practice again that following night.
Oh, damn. So it's Thursday. So you got a quick trip.
Yes, sir.
That's good, though. Taking advantage of it, I think, and we're going to talk about your story and let the people know kind of just who you are, where you've come from. But I think, do you find that with how life has gone for you and how far you've come and the things that you've seen, the sacrifices family have made, that it's something in the back of your brain where you're like, I need to take advantage of this and see the world while the opportunity is there? Or is that just something that you're intrigued by on your own? Or is it a combo of it all? I don't know. What do you think about that?
I want to say it's a combination of both, because sometimes you just get caught up in the mix of basketball, training, games, traveling. You don't get the time to really relax and enjoy where you are. You don't get to see and experience the world around you. So I want to have a chance to do that. I don't want to look back in 10 years and be like, oh, I should have went to Barcelona, or I should have went to Austria. Like, I have the chance now, might as well take it. And it's also cool to see the different cultures and everything around the world, even though they're so close to each other. Life so much different from one country to another. So just open your eyes for everything. And it's a great experience so far.
Amazing. 30 seconds, thoughts on Denmark so far? Never been. Been to a few places in Europe, but what do you think? What stands out, or good, bad, in between? How's the weather?
If you don't like the cold, don't come here in those seasons. In the summertime, it's a really nice place. It's warm. The weather is great. It's beautiful. The people are nice, clean, no crime. So it's a nice vacation to have during the summertime. I would say that.
Yeah, dope. Good. Well, good for you, man. And had many friends play overseas, and kind of it's like you say, it can be in between too, because sometimes you end up in a place where there is not a lot, right? And so
Hmm.
it can be those dark days of you're just stuck with hoops and you don't know the language, and maybe it's not the greatest city to like be hanging out in, and the restaurant, whatever. There's not a lot of culture there. So when you do get the chance, because when you're playing overseas, you do move a lot, or you can move a lot, right?
Hmm.
Contracts are short, so
Yes, sir.
taking advantage of those opportunities is great, and I think that's awesome, man. Well, let's get right into it, dude. I mean, you have a fantastic, amazing story. Just so many avenues we could take this down, but give the listeners
Hmm.
idea of you as a young fella, sort of like how life unfolded for you. You could probably talk for an hour or so about this, but
Yeah.
just sort of like how life unfolded for you and what it was like as a young person, because you have a very unique story. 154 episodes in, and I'm trying to think on my drive in today. I'm like, I think I'm going to talk to someone who's going to share some stuff that we've never heard before on this show, and that's really, really dope. So,
Uh-huh.
yeah.
So, well, I was born in Kenya, and the reason for that is during the 1990s and throughout until like 2005, I want to say 2010, Sudan at the time was in a civil war. There was conflict going on with people from the north, people from the south. And that's why my family was displaced. So we were displaced to a refugee camp in Kenya. Yeah, it's called Kakuma. I want to say it's one of the largest refugee camps in the world. So that was the reason for me being in Kenya at the time. So I was born in Kenya, and I spent a few years there as a young child. Well, my father, he was a partisan in the war. So at the time I was born, it was just my mother, my first cousin, and just a bunch of family of mine in the refugee camp just living, trying to survive. And they were just handing out visas to refugees, and predominantly South Sudanese that either went to Australia, Canada, or the United States. And we were fortunate enough to get a visa to come here to Canada. And the first chance my mom and dad got, they said, we got to go because it's not really sustainable for us to be in Kenya or South Sudan right now. They just wanted a better life for us. And I salute them for that. They changed my life. And I can't, like, if you told me I was going to be in Denmark 3 years ago, I would have laughed in your face. Like, I don't even know where it is. I don't even know what language they speak, but that's just the beauty of it and just how the cards have been played. So I ended up moving to Canada. And when we came to Canada, it was just a culture shock. Just the language we had to learn, the customs, just mingling with the new kids is totally different. Just the way we would play around in the refugee camp compared to what we do here in Canada. The school, we just had to adapt to a whole new world. And what made it harder was my mom and my father, they were working two full-time jobs, so we never really got to see them. So it was my first cousin. I call him my brother, but he's not my blood brother. He's just my
Don't
first
matter.
cousin. Yeah. So he's my
Yeah.
brother. So my brother and I, we were just second and third graders, just taking care of each other. We would come home. My mom would have food prepared for us. So we would eat, sometimes do our homework because there was no one really there to force us to do it.
He
So
says sometimes.
sometimes. We would just enjoy life as kids, just playing, get to know everyone around the neighborhood, and we got big into sports. First, it was football, soccer, so we started playing that because the majority of the people who lived around us were immigrants, and football, soccer is popular sports among immigrants. So I got to learn to play soccer, and from there, I met new friends. They introduced me to baseball. Then I got introduced to American football. Then I got introduced to basketball. So growing up as a kid in elementary school, I was just playing every sport to play.
Yeah.
It was just fun. It was a way for me to interact with new people, learn new skills, and just have fun and not really stress about life. And as I got a little older, I started to focus more on American football because two of my closest friends, Tommy and Willie, they played American football. So I gravitated towards that, and it became like the love of my life. I enjoyed that sport with everything. It was like a passion of mine, and I
I
played
saw you
through
out there,
high.
number 11. I saw you.
Yeah, I was
I
out
saw
there.
you out there running some patterns. Let's go.
So I played a little receiver and safety.
Throw it up
I
to the
was a
big
lot.
fella, man.
I was a lot smaller back then. I
Yeah,
was in
yeah. I noticed that you
uh,
had long legs, but like your trunk hadn't
a
really
short
like
little
yeah,
torso.
yeah,
Yeah.
hadn't caught up yet. Yeah.
So it was fun. I had some speed back then. I was a pretty big hitter.
I was
Uh,
gonna say, like, we're a pretty big football, basketball school, and a lot of our hoop guys,
mhm.
they give it a try in like grade 8 and 9. They're like, nah, I'm good. So you like that part of it. You like that physical
Yeah.
side. Yeah, it's a different mentality, right?
And
Yeah.
I want to say my brother and my friends probably helped instill that mentality in me. As you can see from my game now, playing basketball,
Yeah.
like I'm not afraid of contact or something I go seek out. And I want to, I credit that to the days playing football because we would just run into each other and it was dumb back then. We weren't really the smartest young kids, but it paid off now playing
Hmm.
pro. So I played in going into high school. I was playing basketball and football, but my main sport was football. And so after my sophomore year of high school, I injured my back playing football. So I took a lot of time off because it was a pretty bad injury. And I was just at home playing video games, doing schoolwork, not doing nothing, just sitting, wasting away. And at that time, I went from being probably 6 foot to 6'6". Like I had a massive growth spurt. And I didn't realize it because I was just at home playing video games all day.
What was the game of choice?
I played NBA 2K and I
Okay.
played GTA 5.
Oh,
So I would
see
play
now
those.
this is how make myself feel really old, right? Like I'm like OG GTA guy, and you're playing number 5. So, anyways, carry
Yeah.
on, my friend. Carry on.
So I was didn't really have much to do and just wasting my
How's that grocery bill though, man? Your parents must have been like, "Damn, dude, you're going
I
through this."
no
No,
no I didn't eat much because
no
my diet was just pop and candy and
chips.
that
Yeah,
was cheap back then. So my mom wasn't too mad about the grocery bill. She just wanted me to go get some exercise.
yeah.
And uh, after that year, it comes my senior year of high school, and I'm looking to go to college now. Like just playing college sports, not even in
Hmm.
my realm. Like if someone said you're going to go play college basketball at a D2 or D3 or even like NAI, no disrespect to those schools, I would have been like, you're crazy. Like I'm not nowhere near that level to go play there. So that sports was not even in my thinking at the time.
Hmm.
And I had a good friend. His name was Jackson Mayers. He played for London Basketball Academy. And this is when they first started to start the program. And at those times, the first couple of years, they had very few players. So I want to say they had a team of maybe 8 or 9 people, and they just needed extra bodies to go practice. And my friend Jackson was like, "You're 6'6", you're somewhat athletic. You used to play basketball. Like you're not a bad basketball player, but you're not as good compared to us. Like you're doing nothing. Just come practice with us." I'm like, I don't know about it. It's a huge commitment. Like I don't think I'm up for it. And then he eventually talked me into it. And then I spoke with Coach Angelo Provenzano, and he was like, "If you want to come practice with us, you can train, you can lift weights with us, you can just come and get better with us." And I said, "You know what? I really have nothing else better to do. Like I'll just try it out." And then the first half the year was rough. It was pretty bad because they were like 5 levels above me. Like they would do things that like, wow, they would make some shots that I'm like, I can't even do that. So it was a learning curve trying to get used to that playing style and just playing against physical, faster, stronger bodies that are even more skilled.
Well, it's hard too,
And
right? Like basketball is such a such a
mhm,
motor skill sport, right? Like football, it's like, hey, I can run my pattern and like go get it, or like if I'm playing
yeah,
safety, I just play my zone. And it was like basketball's like I gotta dribble ball, I have to move at
mhm,
a certain speed laterally and northeast, southwest. I gotta check some like there's a lot going on,
yeah,
right? And then like you mentioned, this isn't like U11. You're at high school age, and it's like the pace is There's a lot there,
Yeah.
man. Yeah.
My brain was not working at the time because in football, you can catch the ball and you can keep running. But in
Sure.
basketball, you got to put it down. So you just have to build that whole new connection and everything in your mind.
Mm-hmm.
And the first 6 months was a little rough, but then I started to get a hang of it and it started to kind of get the ball rolling and it started to come a little more naturally, a little quicker. And I started to pick things up. And then after the first year, Coach Ramazan was like, this last year, like the first part of it was rough, but you made some really big strides. How about you come and be just a reserve for us on the senior team, so the LBA preparatory team. And I'm like, oh, I didn't think this was possible. Like for sure, like what can I do? This is my senior year. Like I think in Ontario, there's a option for you to do a fifth year of high school.
Yeah.
I think it's 13. Like a post grad. Yeah, grade 13. Mm-hmm. And he said, this is your grade 13th year. You had no scholarships. You had nothing. Like there's really not much for you to lose. You can stay at home, train a little bit. Mm-hmm. If all things work out, you just go to college. If you end up on a team, perfect. If you don't, you're just in the same position. But he told me he was honest with me. He said, I don't think you would be able to get onto a team. Like it's going to be really difficult. Mm-hmm. And I said, that's all right. Like that's the last thing in my mind. I just want to work out and get better. Like that. I'm just doing this for the joy of it. And then,
so I was going to say a question for you, like, so going through this first year of where it's really like dedicated to the game and you're obviously every day you're going home and it's like, there's not a lot of wins, I guess it sounds like, you know what I mean? There's a lot of struggles. How do you manifest that into a positive? How do you find a way to keep going? Not just be like, yo, I could just go play vids and chill or whatever. Like, is it your peer group? Is it something inside of you? Are you seeing your own potential at this point? Or I'm just curious because you lasted an entire year where kids are walking circles around you or whatever, you know, like maybe you're getting some blocks because you got some length or whatever, but for the most part, every day is a learning day for you. How'd you keep that mentality to just keep going at that young age when many could walk away and just say, you know?
I want to say it was a combination of a lot of things, just the friends group that I had. Like I was like, what's their alternative? If I stop here, I'm just going to go home and play video games. And I'm like, I'm not too fond of it. Now, yeah, it's cool to play video games, but I enjoy this a little more. Plus, Coach Provenzano had me working so much that I couldn't process all the bad that I was doing. Like it was just work. And like you just forget about the mistakes and you're just so laser focused about just working and stacking days that you don't even bother about the mistakes. Like the mistakes, you just become so familiar with the mistakes that it's just like, I airballed a shot. Like I airballed a million shots, I'm going to airball a million more. Like it doesn't affect you anymore at that point. And I just kept going and going and going. And I think I want to say it was probably the routine he had me in. It was just on a cycle. We just did everything. Boom, boom, boom. Then we restart. Boom, boom, boom. So you never really got the chance to sit back and say, okay, let me process what's going on. You just work to get better. And by the time you get a chance to have a break and have an off season, you realize, oh man, I've been working for the past 8-10 months. Like I've seen, like I can see changes in my body now. Like I can do this that I wasn't able to do before. I can dribble the ball between my legs and keep going. Like then you realize, oh, okay, now it becomes fun. Now you realize, oh, I can do this, and you see the results of the work you put in. And you start to enjoy. You're like, okay, now instead of just trying to catch up to these guys, like I'm somewhat competing with them. And now you're like, okay, let me try a little hard to see if I can actually beat them. And then it's like, okay, let me see how much more I can beat you. And it's just this cycle of trying to catch up. And once you catch up, seeing how much separation you can get from them. And I will credit it to Coach Provenzano and the system that he had and just the work that he made us put in. So.
Yeah, it sounds like he saw something in you, but like a couple previous episodes, I was saying how we had a day off here and we opened the gym for these guys to shoot on like a Friday or whatever. And I'm watching half our varsity kids, like he's a grade 11, 12, and I'm like, these guys don't even know how to work out. Like they don't know how to, right? They don't know how to like get better on their own. I'm like, damn, man, like,
Yeah.
what's the club teaching you? Or like maybe it's us failing you. I don't know, but it sounds like he set that foundation for you. And then you're like, oh, this is all I got to do. Okay, cycle again. I got to do it again. And then you just start to see those little chipping away at the block a bit, right? Which is key. How do you just like said, oh, just come out, play the game. I think you'll love it. And you're like not having much success. And all you're doing is open gyms and kind of running up and down. You're like, this isn't really that good. But he's showing you the little pieces it takes. Now you have a foundation to work with, right?
So he built that strong foundation in me. And he, to his credit, he never lied to us. He never sold us any dreams. Because he told me, I don't think you could play college basketball. Like, he was honest with me. And I'm like, I don't think I can play college basketball at all.
Well, either.
But we were on the same page there. And he said, you know what? If you work, I'm willing to work with you.
Game speaks.
So he said, if you're willing to work, I can give you everything I know. And
love that.
He's been coaching for, I think it was like 30, 40 years. So he knows a lot more to this game than I do, and probably I will ever know. So just learning from him every day was just a blessing. And then even picking things up on the way, like in the basketball circles, the longer you play, the more connections you make, the more people you meet, and the more you get to learn. And I was able to start to meet new people, like Dave Sewell. He's from London, Ontario as well. I think he was very pivotal in my development as well. Just seeing that transition from working with Coach Provenzano, then I went into college and I started working with him, and then just introducing me to a whole different way to see the game. And I want to say that's just how the development went. It was just getting passed on from one person to another, seeing the game in a different lens, just enjoying it and seeing the true fun and beauty it has to offer.
We hope you're enjoying our most recent episode of A Hoops Journey, but we want to get some information out to all the hoop heads out there who still thinks they've got some game left in their legs, who's a post-secondary player or maybe just finishing high school and wants to get a run in the summer. We've got the games and we've got the tournament for you. 4 guaranteed games, full jerseys, that's shorts and tops with your team name on the back, all taken care of. And this can all be found along with food trucks, Hollywood Harv, our main man, a DJ, all going to be a great weekend of hoops, July 5th and 6th. All right, at Brickwood Park in Maple Ridge, BC. This is in memory of Coach Rich Goulet. So this tournament is called the Coach G Classic. They can be found on Instagram, coach.g.classic. You want to find the Google sites that they have available. There's a link there, all right? And then you can register your team. They do have an early bird rate. So if you're able to get your team registered before May 15th, you get a little bit of a cut. And don't forget that that comes with all what I've mentioned, 4 games, full uniforms, and a bunch of fun. You can also email them at the coachgclassic@gmail.com. That's coachgclassic@gmail.com. This is a partnership as well with our good friends at Mountain West Roofing, Mike Elaine, all right, Jeff Boyer. They do so many things. And this one, we really want this tournament to be well supported, taken care of. It has been great the last couple of years. I've unfortunately been out of town the last couple of times it's been on. I'm really hoping my wife doesn't make any plans and that we're home so I can come out and just enjoy the event, watch the competition. If you can't get a hold of anyone, send me a DM on our Instagram. Let me know. I will connect you with the right people. But registration's going fast, and we want to make sure we get your team in. So if you're up there and you think you still got some game left in those legs, check it out and get your team registered. Thank you to the Coach G Classic. Love that. And it really does, man. And I think one of the purest things about it is just a ball and a hoop, right? If and there's not many sports or activities where you can just do that on your own and you feel like you're just in a different world doing your
Oh,
thing, but
yeah.
you're also improving a skill, right? Which is really the beautiful part of it. Now, you talked about grade 13. When does it start to click for you where you're like, all right, it's happening, you know? Like,
It was,
did you have a blow up game where a couple coaches were watching, or, you know, how do we go from the summer talk of like, I don't think you can play post secondary to,
hmm
you know, like it's a pretty wild story, man.
yeah,
You're a pretty
it
low
was,
key dude, but it's pretty wild.
I would say it was a slow progression because at the
Hmm.
start of grade 13, I spoke to no one about going to any schools. I'm from London, Ontario, so my intentions were to go study at Western University, to stay home and study whatever I was going to study, not even play on the basketball team.
School important at
So,
this point, or are you just like
yeah,
whatever?
that's the only
Yeah.
option I had because
Mhm.
sometimes when you play basketball, some
Low
people
key, I hear.
use.
Low key, I hear you're like a brainiac, man. Facts or
No,
no?
I no, I think so. I don't know. I hope so.
That's what word on the street is. I'm just saying.
I
Done my
appreciate
research. I've done my
it.
research. Some people say a very bright young man here, so that's
I
dope.
like that.
Yep.
The progression was slow. I was going to go study at Western.
So humble, just moves right on to the next question. He's like, I'm uncomfortable. I want to talk about this.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
But
Western.
yeah,
No, you're good.
I was going to go study at Western. And then I had no schools talking to me whatsoever. No schools from Ontario, from Canada, no colleges, nothing at
Hmm.
all. And then we started to play in the NPA, which the preparatory league that the LBA played in at the time,
Hmm.
and start to get a little things rolling. Like Coach comes on, was like, "You're playing well. Keep playing. Keep doing your thing." Our team started to do well. We started playing. We went down to like Florida and other places in the U.S. to play, and I think that prepared us a little more for the competition in Canada. And then we started to play bigger teams. It was like
Is that your first
Crestwood.
time in the States?
No, I went to
No.
the States for football camps when I was a
Oh,
lot
okay.
younger.
Oh,
So
you were into it. You were
I
like
was a
that,
full
huh?
blown, yeah. If
Ah,
I didn't hurt
okay.
my back, I think I would have played
Okay.
football.
Okay.
But yeah, so we would play some games down in like Florida, I think Rhode Island and other places. We
Mm.
came back and we played some pretty big teams here in Canada. I think it was like Crestwood, GTA Prep, Ottawa. I think they're CTA.
Hmm.
Some of those schools. And I was playing good against them. Like I was getting some highlight reels, like I was getting blocks, I was getting dunks. People like, who is this guy? Where is he from? And people started to notice me. They started to talk like, hey, like, what are your plans for next year? Like, what do you think? I'm like, ah, you know the answer better than I do. I don't know what's happening next year. And started to play well, and it just started to stack and stack and stack. And then at one point, I spoke with a coach from UPEI, and he's like, "I really love your game. You work hard. Like, do you think you would ever come out here to play basketball? I'm like, and if you do, we could offer you a scholarship." And I'm like, a scholarship? Like, that this wasn't even in my mind frame at the time. And this was late. This was in like, I want to say March, April, and
Okay.
everyone is already signing to go to places now. And it's like the hope is kind of shriveling away because you see everyone signing to colleges and going to play Division 1, signing to the various OUA teams, and I forget the name, but just signing to Canadian schools. And then I'm here with a lot of people having interest, saying we would love for you to play here, but no really offers yet. And then we start to play a little more. It comes May, and the season is about to end, and it starts to pick up a lot more now with Canadian schools that have like OUA. They're at our Western is asking, hey, like, you want to come play basketball here? McMaster is like, hey, you want to come play basketball here?
Mm.
Laurier is like, hey, like, we're really interested in you. And it started to click. I'm like, oh, wow, I can actually go probably play college basketball now. Like, this wasn't a thought of mine 8 months ago, but now we're in May. It's only 4 more months until I have to decide which university I want to go to. Like, this is actually getting serious. And I start to think, okay, now this is a real possibility. Like, let me start to buckle down to see. And I started to stack games on games on games. And then we had the championship weekend for the preparatory league, and I played really well. And then I just blew up on the scene. And then I went to play summer AAU, and that didn't go as planned because everything I've heard from AAU, you have a million college coaches watching you on the sidelines. Like, it's the best thing ever. And then we went to a tournament in Atlanta, Georgia, and I'm seeing all these coaches. I see UNC, Michigan, Colorado. I'm seeing every Division I program that I could dream of, but no one's saying anything to me. So I'm like, my dreams to play college basketball in the U.S. is, I got to be realistic with myself. A year ago, I didn't think I was going to play college basketball at all.
Sure.
Now I'm most likely going to go play for a Canadian university. That's way beyond any dreams I had. So let me be grateful for what I was able to accomplish, because playing college basketball in Canada is still an amazing feat. There's millions of people I know, not millions, there's a lot of people I know that try and fight to go play on a roster for Canadian university. And people are coming to me to say, hey, I want you to come play for me. So I'm like, I got to be grateful. So I'm not looking at the U.S. schools like, okay, it would be great to go play for them, but let me be real with myself. I've came a long way, and that's still a long ways to go play college basketball in the U.S. So I started to go on visits to Canadian universities to get a sense of where I wanted to go. I went to McMaster for a visit. I went to Laurier, and those were the only two in Canada that I went to. Obviously Western, because I'm down the street and I get to see it almost every day. So there was no need for me to go on a visit there. And started playing AAU a little bit more, and nothing really is unfolding. And it comes June, and I'm starting to get texts from college coaches now in the U.S., but they would say, hey, like, can you send us some film? We want to take a look at you. But nothing really came out of it. It was always very superficial.
Yeah.
And I was starting to get realistic with myself. I'm not there yet, maybe a few more years. So I flirted with the idea of going the JUCO route to gain some more exposure in the US. And then I decided that's not the smartest thing. I'd rather just go get my degree and play basketball. Like, basketball is just a bonus to getting my degree. It goes towards the end of June, and there's some college coaches in the U.S. that are really serious now. Like, they're talking to me like almost every other day, seeing how I'm doing. Hey, how'd you play? Like, what do you think of this school? These are our facilities. Like, it's getting a little more serious now.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I might actually get the opportunity to play. Like, I don't know. And then the coach at Northern Colorado at the time, Coach Jeff Linder and Steve Smiley, they're like, we have a official visit in a week. Would you like to come? And I'm like, of course, like, please, like, let me go. Like, I would love to come. And if I'm not mistaken, it was like June 20th, June 20, that time. So it's like,
that's late.
It's after National Signing Day. Like, everyone has signed. Yeah. So this is like the last minute thing, like last minute. So I go on the school visit. I enjoyed it. Like, facilities were on levels that I've never seen before, the resources that they had. And I'm like, this is the college dream. This is amazing. Even though it wasn't a high major school, in my perspective, it was like the NBA. Like, we had our own gym. You got free shoes. You got free clothes. You got a meal plan. I'm like, I've never dreamed about these things. And you guys are willing to give me a scholarship to come play here? And I talked with Coach Provenzano, because he came with me on the visit. And we were like dumbfounded. Like, I don't know how this, like, I don't even know how this is possible. I wasn't even going to play college basketball at all. Like, that wasn't even a dream. Now I'm coming to play here for free and everything covered. I need to take this opportunity. So they call me into the head coach's office. And they're like, we're going to offer you a scholarship. We have one more scholarship left. And the situation in Northern Colorado was a little rocky because they had some sanctions from the previous coach. Because usually an NCAA program, I think you have, it's either 13 or 15 scholarships for the entire team, but they were cut down to like 9. So they had very limited things as well. And they're like, hey, we have one more scholarship left. We'd love to offer it to you. And this was on a Friday. And they said, well, on the Monday, we have another prospect coming. And if he takes the scholarship, there's 2 people with 1 scholarship. It goes to whoever wants it first. And I'm like, I can't let this opportunity go. This is the dream that I've always wanted, and it's actually coming true now. So I signed. I said, hey, I'm coming here.
You try to keep it cool though, where you're like, yeah, can we have a second to chat? Like, let's talk. Or were you like, yo, get the pen?
I think I was a little foolish. My poker face at the time was god awful. So they knew. Good, yeah. They could see it on my face. They're like, oh, we got this guy. We don't have to worry. But I was trying to hold it in.
They're believing the story about the recruit on Mondays. We got him, man. It's over.
Yeah, and they caught me in and reeled me. I looked at Coach Palmisano. He was like, you would be a fool not to take it. So I took it. And the crazy thing is, this was the first time I've ever met these people. This is the first time I've ever been to Colorado, let alone Greeley, the city which Northern Colorado was in. This is all new to me. I knew nobody there. I knew nothing about Colorado. I knew nothing about that area at all. Yeah. And then I signed. They're like, well, you have to come back in a month because school starts in a month. And I'm like, wow, my whole world is just getting flipped upside down. A year ago, I didn't think I was going to play college basketball. This whole summer, I thought I was going to go to McMaster or Western. Then I thought I wasn't going to go anywhere. Then now I'm here in Colorado, which I know nothing about. Now they want me to move here. Like I never lived away from home. I don't know how to cook food. I barely know how to wash my clothes. And I just got to pack everything up and move in a month with not knowing anybody. And my whole world was just flipped upside down, shaken up. And I said, you know what? I just got to get my feet down and run with it. So I took that opportunity. I ran and I never looked back since.
And so my one thing that's sticking in my head that I want to ask is, so where is, you talked about both your parents working, you hardly seeing them. What's there? It sounds like they had so much trust in Coach Provenzano just to guide you in the right way. Like, are you letting them know, like, this is my situation, this is what I want to do? Are they involved at all? Or just like, listen, we'll support you as long as you get your degree? Like, what's that conversation like?
Yeah, so my dad, he's a very academic person. He loves school.
Sure.
And all he said to me is, I don't care where you go. I don't care how far you go. When you come back in 4 years, you better have a degree somewhere. So he was just on board. He didn't know much about college basketball. He knows.
Yep.
He just knows basketball is an orange ball. That's the furthest extent he knows about basketball. So he says, I can give you advice on school, life, but basketball, you're a grown man now. You're going to move on by yourself. I won't be there to help make decisions for you. So now you're going to have to make your own decisions on where you want to go and what you want to do. Because as a man, you have to make your own decisions and you have to live with the consequences. So you decide on where you go. You decide on how you want to do it. But just make sure when you're done, you have a degree. And at that time, my mom was there a lot. She was always, how was the visit? Did you eat well? Were the people nice? So she was a little more involved in the social aspect of it. My dad was just more, he was more like, just be a man, take care of your business and make sure you respect people, you work hard and you get the job done.
No doubt, for sure. And I think the cool part is the connection between, like, just listening to you explain this story. So just almost casually, I don't know if that's the right word, but just sort of, laid back and kind of like, which the amount of things you described already would stress so many people out, right? But I feel like when you're a young child and your family gets uprooted and tough decisions have to be made, and, this to you is like, you still have in the back of your mind how grateful you are that you're sitting at a table with some NCAA coaches willing to offer you something, right? So take that anxiety and stress away, because this is not stressful. This is like an opportunity, right? And it's a huge mind shift, and I think that's really dope. And it's a huge part of your story is, whether you know it or not, just all the things that you've been through have led you to sort of be able to deal with these moments as they come along, if what I'm saying kind of makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense, because there's been times where there was times during college basketball, like my first couple of years, that's when you don't play a lot. You're getting used to the schedule of practice, school, social life, and just everything. And I'm like, man, I can't do this anymore. Like, this is way too stressful. But then you think about it. I have cousins back home in Sudan and in Kenya. They're dying to get just a basic education. Like they would die to pay to go to school. Now I'm getting paid to go to school. Like, it's kind of a slap in their face for me just to quit already here. Like, there's people, I don't want to be repetitive, but there's people that are willing to die to be in my position. And now I'm in that position. I got to be grateful for what I have, and I got to show respect to them. I got to say, you know what, I got to do this for you, because unlike everyone else who hasn't got this opportunity I've got, and I got to make the best of it. So just in respects to everybody, respects to my mom, my father, who just uprooted everything and said, let's move to Canada to give them a better life. And for me not to go on board with that would just be disrespect for them, to be, hey, Corey, did this for you. The least you could do is just try to work through some adversity. We know it's hard going to class and going to practice, but it's a lot harder working a 12-hour shift and going to class, where you have to take care of a little daughter and go to class, or you have to take care of a little daughter and go to work. I got to play basketball and go to school. Of course, there's stressful things about it, but in the grand scheme of things, there's people who see my position as very fortunate. And if you look at it that way compared to others, yeah, we practice for 3 hours a day and then we have 3 hours of class. It's tough, but there's a lot of things that are, in my opinion, are tougher. So I think that kind of changed my perspective on, like, man, I can't quit now. It's like, I'm 90% at the finish line. I've ran all this far. Just to go back, it wouldn't make any sense.
What's up, everybody? Thank you for checking out A Hoops Journey. As you know, here on the podcast, we have a major sponsor, and that is a Parkside Brewery located in Port Moody, British Columbia on Brewers Row. The best brewery literally down on that street, one of the best in the Lower Mainland. Our guy Sam Payne, so supportive and does so much for the community basketball-wise, and has done a lot for us on the podcast. So get out and support. If you're not able to make it down to the brewery for one of their trivia nights or something like that, then you can find them in any government liquor store. And I would highly suggest the Humans IPA. I believe it's taken over for the Dreamboat for me. And we are super grateful for Parkside Brewery. Thank you. Check them out. Go on the website. They've got lots of events and fun things going on. And we couldn't appreciate you more. Damn it. Okay. Fuck that up. All right, Parkside, effort 2 here, bud. 3, 2, 1. What's up, everybody? As you know, Parkside Brewery is one of our major sponsors here on A Hoops Journey podcast, and we are super grateful for our guy Sam Payne and his entire crew. Every time I go down there, I get treated like a VIP, as do my friends. Brewers Row, fantastic place to be. Doesn't matter what type of day or year it is. The weather's good or bad. They've got so many things going on. Trivia nights, so much stuff. Parkside, great facility, huge patio on a nice day, lots of indoor things. You can play some shuffleboard and just hang out and have a good time with those that matter most to you. We're super grateful for them and all that they've done. Make sure you tap into a Humans IPA. If that's not your type of thing, you can always try their Pilsner or ales. They've got lots of options for you. And if you're not able to make it down to the breweries, look for them in any local BC government liquor store. Huge portion of who we are and a reason we're able to do a lot of things on this show. And we are super grateful for everybody at Parkside Brewery. Like we like to say on this show, depending on the day. So we would call that church on a Thursday, my friend. Take them to church. Here we go. I love it, man.
Mm-hmm.
And I shared with you, had the opportunity, young in my teaching degree, it was like 2008, 2009, going to Kenya and spending time in Kibera and stuff like that. And we had people, obviously, there's a bunch of friggin' North American, European white people walking around Kibera. We had a few of the locals with us, right? So they didn't just leave us on our own. And you see people like dressed up really nicely walking on the streets everywhere. And I was like, where's everyone going? People just walk into Nairobi and just try to find a job, right? Just every single day, like literally trying to find a job just every day, right? And if they do, $3 to $5 a day, maybe, if they're lucky, and there's no guarantee that they'll get that work the next day. So I think it's great perspective. And I think you probably at times maybe get tired, talking about your story, but I think it is important to pause and just sort of give people that sort of like reality check of, you know what, things can be tough and student athlete life is tough, but like I get to go home and turn my tap on, get a glass of water, sleep in a nice bed and have a shower in the morning before I get ready, put on some cocoa butter, brush my teeth, whatever it is, right? Be ready to go, put in my AirPods. So I think no matter what your upbringing is, it's an important part of life. Is the more the research says, the more that you can be grateful and the more that you can think about the good in your life, the better your mentality in life kind of is, and the better impact you have on people. So it's powerful stuff, man, and appreciate you sharing those thoughts.
No problem at all.
Yeah, let's just your time. You end up transferring to Temple, stuff like that. But like, okay, so you've built up this platform and you've been working. And what were some of the differences going from LBA, which was pretty high level, pretty disciplined, lots going on, to this level, right? Like that's another whole jump in itself. What were some of the things that just stood out for you? And you touched on a little bit already, kind of saying, first couple of years don't get to play a lot. So there are some ups and downs, but what were the major things that stood out for you in terms of going to that next step?
From college basketball to the pros?
From high school to college, like just those first few weeks on campus, like practice life, the lifts, like, he's laughing.
So it was a shock. It was a shock because you would lift, and the way we would lift right before practice. We would have a snack, and then we would go straight into practice. And it was just like practice. Like my first practice, my head was just everywhere. I
Jello arms, man, just like
and then I couldn't chew gum and walk at the same time. Like my mind was just everywhere. Because now you're actually getting to the technical part of basketball too. Like now you got to think and play. So now you got to do this. Okay, if your defender steps up, you got to make this read, and if he steps up, that's the third read that you have to make. So now your brain has to work while you're trying to learn something too. So like the first 2 months, all the freshmen we weren't in shape because we thought we were in shape, but you're going against a senior who's been weight training for the past 3-4 years. His body looks like a man, and you're just getting out of puberty as an 18, 19-year-old guy, and just going against him. And he knows little tricks and stuff when it comes to basketball. Like, I can take this driving angle to get past them. Okay, you're going to do this. I'm going to step up and take the charge. Like, these little things you learn from experience that us freshmen haven't really got to learn yet. So we're trying to work, go to practice, go to weights, learn the plays, learn how to play basketball, learn how to play together, go to class and actually do your work, because now we all live on campus alone. Like, there's no mother or dad telling you to study. You can stay up as long as you want. Like, I can come home at 2, 3 a.m. There's no one going to tell me anything about it. So it's just like you get more of a leash now, but you have to control yourself because you can get carried away pretty quick. And that jump was a little difficult, but I think what made it easier was, like, I go back to Coach Provenzano, just the way he set everything up for us. He gave us tools and resources to be able to deal with these situations, because the way he set up his practices, the way he demanded things out of us, it was just easy transition. Oh, you want me to lift and practice in the same day? I used to do that in high school. it's a little easier to lift and go straight to practice because we kind of had that already. Because there's some people who don't lift at all. So now you have to get used to lifting and practicing in the same day. Your body going to need some time to adjust to that. But since we already had a similar structure, it wasn't too bad of a jump. But then I credit him for teaching us the game of basketball. I think that's kind of why I excelled a little quicker than maybe others, or maybe people thought I should have, because he actually took the time and taught us the game. He taught us why we should do things and the reasoning for it. And that kind of made things easier. Even though there was a learning curve, you kind of picked it, okay, I could see that. That's what he spoke about before. And now you're able to understand it on a deeper level.
Absolutely.
But it was just the basketball part was the easier transition than the social part, because the social part is something that they can't teach you. How to make friends. Well, you have 4 guys in your room. One is from Colorado, one is from Alabama, one is from New York, and you're from Canada. How do you guys all get along? One guy likes to stay up all night and watch video games. One guy likes to listen to music while another guy wants to sleep. Now you got to be able to find a common denominator between you guys, because you guys can't be fighting all night. Some guy wants to go to sleep. Some guy wants to play video games. So that was a little harder for me, being able to mix in with friends and just learn their customs and everything. Because even though it's the U.S., it's right beside us, being from Canada, but it's a whole different lifestyle out there. And just the way they speak, their mannerisms and everything. It was difficult, but you immerse yourself into that, and then you just pick it up and you just start rolling with it. And I think that's what made it easy. You just immerse yourself, and you kind of let go. You say, you know what? I'm going to accept this as my new home. Like, of course, I'm from London, Ontario, but I'm here 8 months out of the year, 10 months out of the year.
Yeah, you can fight it all you want.
Yeah, you fight it all you want, but you're going to be forced to be here no matter what. So I think that's what makes the transition easier. It's, some people think about home too much. They think, okay, 8 months until I get home. When I get home, I'm going to do this. But you got to understand, this is your new home. And when you have that mentality, I think things just flow a lot easier. And that's how I was able to get through it.
So much another clip, mindset and mentality, man. I'm seeing some common themes here throughout your life, my guy. Love that. And it's true too, because also those are your teammates. So like, you guys are around each other probably more than you want to be at times. Like, everybody goes through those moments, is like, it's the same as family, right? It's like, yeah, it's all new and fresh. Yay. Okay, now roles are defined, and like, yo, that guy's playing ahead of me, but I think I'm better than him. And then now we got to like share a dorm room or whatever. And it's like, okay, I don't really connect with this person, but we do have to find a way to get along. It's like, you touched on so many great things. When did you start to think pro was the next step for you? Did someone come and talk to you? You know, I mean, because no disrespect, like, it's not like you were 25 and 20 in college. You know what I mean? Like, and I feel like you probably felt like you were developing each year still. So at what point were you like, damn, look, they're gonna pay me to do this too? Like, you know? It's
a very similar story to college basketball too.
Yeah.
It's just my first 2 years were rough. Not rough, but it was just like any freshman. Most freshmen, they don't have a good year. Then your sophomore year, you just starting to get used to everything. Your junior year, okay, now you get your feet right. Now your senior year, you put everything together. So that was like the trend I had. And then come senior year, I've been having a good year and stuff, but I never, like, no one's really talking to me. I have some agents saying, hey, you could potentially play here, you could play there. And I'm talking to former teammates who play pro, and they're all not the highest level, but they're decent. Like, you have the opportunity to go play, but you kind of think, is it worth it? Like, am I that good? Like, now you start questioning yourself, and now you see some of your teammates, some of people in your conference, they go to play in the NBA Summer League, they get drafted, or they go to high level in Europe, and you're like, man, what am I doing wrong, or am I that good? So you kind of doubt yourself in a way. To say no one ever doubts themselves, it's kind of, I would think that's a little naive, but you wish everything good for yourself, and when those don't come true, you start to think, oh, it might not happen. That was the same thing my senior year. I never really had any teams reach out. I had some people I knew go to summer league. I never got any invites. I'm like, I don't think being in the NBA is going to be a realistic dream. Is going to play in Europe more realistic than the NBA? I didn't really have too many things. So I'm thinking, damn, I don't know. I tried to go play in the CEBL and there's really no one that wanted me at the time. I'm like, oh, it's not good. It's going to be a little rough.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay. COVID came, we got an extra year. And I'm like, let me try college basketball for one more year and let me test out my skills on the bigger stage at Temple, see if that helps. And unfortunately, the Temple year didn't go too well. So I finished the Temple year with no interest at all. There's no teams that wanted me. It was like, I'm like, okay, I'm back in the same position as I was in my grade 13th year. There's no interest for the next level. Like, what am I going to do? I'm from London, Ontario, and there was the person I mentioned earlier, Dave Sewell. He was the assistant coach for the London Lightning. And at that time, they were on the tail end of their season, and they needed a big because one of theirs got injured. So he vouched for me to Doug. I think you might know Doug. He's from BC.
Doug Plum.
Doug Plum. So he told Doug Plum, hey, I know this young guy. He's just straight out of Temple. I know his numbers weren't great, but he works hard. He plays hard. He can go rebound for us, maybe block some shots. Like, we're struggling in that position right now. He might be able to fill that void. So let's just give him a shot. Like, we don't even have to pay him much. And I wasn't even looking for money at that time. I was like, if you can give me a place, awesome. And what made it even better was I'm from London, Ontario, and they play out of London, so I could go home and play for them. So he's like, okay, come out for a practice. We'll see how it goes. If I think you can play with us, we'll give you a contract. And it won't be much. And I'm like, right now, money is really not my focus. I just want to be able to get my feet wet and start playing. So I played for the London Lightning. And the crazy thing is I was playing for the London Lightning while going to school at Temple because we got kicked out of the tournament for the NCAA. So it was, I want to say it was like in like early March. And then our school year didn't finish until May. And the season for London didn't finish until like May, June-ish. So I'm like, I have an opportunity to still go to Temple because my eligibility is done. So they can't kick me out of school anymore.
For sure.
Play basketball.
Now, don't question, are these courses online?
No. So I had to travel back and forth.
What?
So that was a crazy thing. My contract was like pennies, but I was spending that to go to school in Philadelphia and back to London because I was in my master's program. And with the master's program, you only have class once a week.
Master's in what?
I had my master's in business with a focus in entrepreneurship.
Amazing. Good for you, man. Well done.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah, it was great. So I had class on Wednesdays and Thursdays. So I only really had to be in Philly for Wednesday and Thursday. And I spoke to the professor and I told him my situation. And they're like, you know what? We can give you a couple of days off. Like this week, you don't have to come to class. We'll put it online. So all the money I made from playing with my first pro contract, it was used to travel to Philly to go back to class. So after like a game on Tuesday, I would tell Doug, hey, I got to go back to school. Like I need to finish my degree. So I would go for the Wednesday, Thursday, and come back Friday, play, train the whole week, then go back to school. So I did that for a few months. And then I played good for the London Lightning. And then I started to roll a little bit. And they're like, okay, the CEBL season is coming up. Teams are looking for Canadian players on their team for their teams. And Kyle Julius, he's good friends with Doug Plum. And Doug put out a good word for me. He's like, hey, we got this young guy. I know like he's not asking for a huge budget. You can pay him the minimum. He just wants to go out there and work. Like, do you think you'll have a spot for him? And Kyle was like, yeah, sure. So that's where I got my opportunity in Vancouver.
Yeah, I was going to ask about the Bandits, man, and how that all came about. That's a friggin' fantastic story that you just shared. But what I was saying is like how it speaks to you as a person and how, a master's degree you get. I have mine too, flex. Anyways, you get to, but like master's is like, people are there for a reason, right? Like, very few people drop out of a master's where if it's first or second year, kind of, I don't know what I want or what I'm doing. So they do treat you a little different, more adult like, but that prof could have easily just said, no, that's not going to fly. Like, we're not going to support you. So I think it speaks to your level of work that you've put in on the court and as a person, and that there's a lot of respect around who you are, and that people are willing to, help you and support you to get to your goals, which is amazing, man. And before we do some fun questions with you, I wanted to just quickly pause about the CEBL, your experience out in Vancouver. I was at the game. Kenny Mack hooked me up with some baseline seats.
Oh yeah,
The day you had the big lob over
oh,
Roche. Yeah, was that
against Saskatchewan?
Yeah, Saskatchewan. That was huge. But I think like, it's a tough league in the sense of the timing, right? It's summertime and stuff. But I've been really impressed with what KJ, Dylan, they've been able to carve out. What they've been able to do with the franchise, the guys that they brought in. I was really hoping you guys were going to get it done last year, but just talk about that overall CEBL experience for your own personal development and just as a player, what you thought of it and why the league is, it's an important thing, I think, just for Canadian basketball in general.
And the CBL is a great thing for Canadians, and the league just gives you opportunity to showcase your skills against top competition in Canada and in the world. Because, for example, you've seen on our team, we got Taze Moore. He's playing for the Portland Trailblazers now. Or like Mitch Creek, he was an all-star for the NBL. Or Nick Ward, he was an amazing player for Michigan State. Like, I could go on and on about all the players that are in the CEBL at the time. It's a great opportunity for Canadian players to play against international competition, high-level Canadian competition, and also get some exposure that you might not get in other places, because there's no other leagues. Well, there's very few leagues in the world that are playing in the summertime when we are with the level of competition. Now all eyes are on us. Like after the NBA Summer League, some of these guys come play here. Now you have NBA people watching. Oh, who is this guy playing on Vancouver? Who is this guy playing on Scarborough? So it's an amazing thing. What the league has done just in terms of development, being able to provide the players with housing, food, car, great pay, great development, like the gyms, the coaching. It's great for your development, because now instead of going home to your respective cities and training against or playing against the people in that area, now you get to go to big cities and train to see, okay, well, this is why Toronto is able to produce so many great players. This is why Montreal is able to produce so many great players. This is why so many great players come to Vancouver. A lot of kids saying, oh, I want to go play for Canadian universities, with no disrespect to them. Now they're getting the opportunity to go play high level in the U.S. Like now you're seeing record numbers of Canadians play in the NCAA tournament, unlike before, or even in the NBA. Like you're seeing tons of Canadians now too. And I think this is great. Like the CEBL is just like the first stepping stone in that. It's an awesome league. And even at Vancouver, they did an amazing job. Dylan, Kyle, the owners, everybody there, they ran that place like a professional organization. We came in on practice. They gave us all the resources possible. They said, if you want to get better, this is the place to come. You'll have gym time whenever you want. We'll have the best strength coach with Tanner Care. And we're going to have the great skill development. They give you every reason to get better. If you want to come work against great competition, come here. You want to be able to practice whenever you want, you come here. And just an environment where if you love basketball, you just go there, you lock yourself in that area for 3 months, whatever it is, and you just train and you train and you train and you get better. And I think that's why Vancouver has been able to produce so good, because of all the resources they're able to provide. They say, we understand your basketball players, and we're going to give you every tool to get better. And if you want to get better, it's up to you. And they recruit players, and they bring in players with that mentality. And That's why they work so hard. And
what's going on, all you hoop heads? Want to give a huge shout out and take a break from the episode here to just give some recognition to a big sponsor of ours here on the podcast. We're so grateful for Doug Beers and what he's been able to do, and a couple things that he's done. PGC Hoops, you can find them at pgchoops.ca. All right, a basketball academy that's a true nonprofit organization operating on the east side of Vancouver. The mission that they have is cost-effective elite basketball for all. And as you know, if you have a son or a daughter who's involved in basketball, it can get pricey. So check them out, pgchoops.ca. Get more information. You can chat with me, send me a DM, and let me know. And also, while you're at it, if you're ever looking for gift cards in large bulk amounts, you can go to www.progiftcards.ca. That's www.progiftcards.ca. Check out their website. Just mention that you know the podcast, that you listen to the podcast, or you know me, A.A. Ron Mitchell. My guy Doug will take care of you as best he can. We're super thankful for all that they do, and they're huge, huge supporters of the pod and basketball in our community. We highly recommend checking them out, and we appreciate you. Love it, man. Couldn't have said it better myself. Checked out a few games, was able to come to one of your practices last year, was impressed with the intensity. It was the day before a game, and guys were still getting into it. Obviously, it was a little bit shorter. You guys watched some film, just all the, the preloading stuff with Tanner and Timothy, like all the weights, like just, like you said, it's pro level, and they attack it with serious purpose. And I don't know if you know or you follow, but just the community stuff that they've been doing. Kyle came, by one of our junior boys practices. The amount of schools that they've impacted is phenomenal. So they've been doing a great job, and then it's great to see the CEBL continue to rise. And you gave a lot of great kind of internal points that I wouldn't be able to. So good stuff, man. Mm-hmm. Dope.
Yeah, Vancouver has been great with even the community things. Now, like when my first year, I would go to Costco, and like a few people would be like, "Oh, you're a basketball player? Like, what team do you play for?" And now they're like, "Oh, he plays for the Vancouver Bandits." So it's not before is a question, "Are you a basketball player?" Now people have in their minds, we have a team, and it's called the Vancouver Bandits, and it's growing amongst the community, and they're doing a great job with going to schools, building basketball courts, and just interacting with everyone in general.
Love it. Well done. Okay. Little lightning round, and then you're on your way, and you can enjoy your vacation. You good?
Yes, sir.
All right, my guy.
Let's go.
Okay. No particular order, though. So let's go. You've got one. You could eat one dish for the rest of your life. What do you got?
Steak. It's a nice ribeye steak.
What do you got with it? Some roasted veggies, potatoes, salad. What do we got? Rice. What do we got?
Just some nice cooked bread with some butter. It sounds weird, but very simple. Because if you get a nice steak, you don't need much with it. That's my opinion, at least.
I believe they would say no cap to that one. I agree. Yeah, you can't have some salad, all that green stuff messing up your steak. How is it? Medium rare, medium well, rare? What do we like?
I like it rare. I know it's I might be the odd one out, but I like it rare. Yeah. I think you and I see eye to eye.
Let's go. Man, these people who have it like cooked to a crisp, and then like I see them like
wasted a perfect steak.
Man, they got ketchup on the table. I'm like, the disrespect. Take that plate away, man.
Come on.
Yeah. What are we doing? Dead or alive, the artist doesn't matter. Maybe there's a couple. If there's a concert that you could go to, best seat in the house. Maybe you've seen them already. Who are you going to check out?
Oh, I'm stuck between. This might be a weird one, but the one concert I wish I would have went to.
Man, you already killed it with the steak answer. We're 154 episodes in. We've heard a lot, so go for it. Let it fly. If you say Taylor Swift, though, I'm hitting stop on the recording.
I forget which year, but okay, no, you don't have to worry about that. Michael Jackson, when we performed at the Super Bowl. Hey. That was an iconic moment.
Okay, do you know how many people have said Michael Jackson is their Go-to? Like, it's impressive. Okay, so Michael Jackson, top shelf. Is there anybody else? Like, if you are, what's pregame? Like, what are you listening to get yourself ready in the locker room?
Oh, it's all over the place.
Yeah?
From Afro beats to country to soul to jazz. I'll listen to it all.
I've only known you for just about an hour and a bit, but that answer does not surprise me. I love it. Well-rounded. Good stuff. Okay. You're back home in Canada. You're in London, and you get to go to the corner store, but you're going to get a bag of chips. What bag of chips? What's the GOAT chips out there? And if you have a couple others, it's okay. It's a safe space.
You got to go with the Canadian classic ketchup chips. That's my go-to. I introduced it to some of my American friends because they thought it was disgusting. They got hooked.
They did.
They got hooked onto it.
They liked it. Okay.
They loved it.
Boy, spreading the Canadian love. I like it. Yeah, I'm a sucker for some ketchup chips too. You know, there are some Canadians who say no, but I'm all on board. Are you a books or movie guy?
Those are Americans living in Canada. I want to say movies.
Okay. So you're on the road, obviously you're overseas. Is there a couple that you like to, watch every now and then? Or is there something new you've seen recently? Like, what are some movies that stand out to you?
I got Harry Potter, A Bronx Tale, and Interstellar.
Oh!
Yeah.
Ow! A Bronx Tale. Such a good movie. Yes.
It's a classic, yeah.
Oh, my man, let's go. I love it. Yes. Okay. Sorry. Got excited there.
No problem.
Watched that movie a lot. I've seen that movie many times. That's okay. Mm-hmm. And number 3?
Interstellar. It's like the space movie where,
Again, listen to the selections. He goes from Interstellar to Bronx Tale to Harry Potter. Wow.
It's a wide range.
It is. I respect it and love it, though. Man, Bronx Tale. Well done. Whew. Oh, okay. If you could have a deep conversation with 2 historical figures, dead or alive, doesn't matter, who would they be?
Ooh, that's a difficult one.
It is. This used to be like a sit down for dinner, but then everyone would just say their family, and I'm like, yo, come on. Like, let's get a little deeper. We've learned a lot about you just by your answers already, man. It's,
I would say the first one, his name is John Garang. So he was a very prominent political leader for South Sudan. He helped us gain independence. I think he would be on my top list. And another one. Oh, that's a really tough one. Maybe Einstein. I would want to see, how does your brain work? Like, because I don't know. I would be like, man, can you just teach me something?
Right.
Just trying to figure out his brain and how it works would be really interesting. I feel like that dude either like slept so well because his brain was constant, or he just never slept because his brain never stopped. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's crazy, but yeah, man, yeah, that's a tough one. I might want to take that back. I'm thinking,
okay,
I got who's a good man. There's so many good people out there. There are. What's a common one? What do people usually say? This is a newish question, right? So this is only I just mixed it up. So there's only a couple episodes that we've had this question on. So I know I'm going to regret this. I'm going to look back on it and be like, I should have said him. And that's why I'm trying to think. When I said that before offline, though, don't wake up tomorrow and regret. I said that it wasn't supposed to be these questions. It's supposed to be the middle of the podcast, man. You know what? I'll stick with my answers. I'll stick with those. Okay. Says a lot, though. You can tell you're a thinker. Listen, man, amazing episode. Through connections, we got you on this show. Is there someone out there that you're homies with, or a coach or a player that you think would be great for the podcast, has got a good hoops journey that we could connect with? But you're the plug. I'm the plug.
So don't be putting anybody on blast. We've had a few of your band of teammates. We've had Glenn Yang. We've had Diego Mafia. We've had
Yes,
KJ,
sir.
obviously.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, man. Dwayne Notice. We've had Dwayne.
Okay. I might start the trend. I might continue the trend with the Bandits player with Mitch Creek.
Yeah. He'd be fun to
Uh-huh.
chop it up with, man. He seems like he's got lots of personality.
Oh man, he's a joy to be around, and he has so much to offer in just terms of life and basketball because he's been all over. And him playing with him over this past summer was just an eye-opening experience. I think
How
it would
so?
be because he played in the NBA for a little bit, then he played in the NBL, which is really high level.
Yep.
And just working with some of those players, he teaches you things about the game that you don't really know about, or some mental things that he's like, man, this is how I got through it. This is how I got through injuries. This is how I got through not playing. It's the ability to see the game in a different point of view. I think it would be great to get his, or just pick his mind for a little bit.
Yeah, I love that. And I think the fact that he's willing to share it. So many people in that position might see you as competition, right? I've only got this guy for a couple months, and he came in late to you guys, right?
Yeah,
seemed like he had a huge impact. Is like to be able to be that open of a book. You know, he could keep his secrets to himself, but I think we all know that you become a stronger, better person when you do share, right? And
for sure,
he'd be dope, man. Amazing. Listen, any last thoughts, reflections, ideas? So much more. Your story's just beginning, my guy. Feels like probably it's been a grind, but you have so many years ahead of you, not just in basketball. One thing I've taken away from you, my friend, is just your ability to be a thinker, to be a whole person. And it doesn't really matter what comes to you in life. You're going to be successful because you have a good outlook and a proper approach. So it's been really dope chopping it up with you. Going to leave it with you before we wrap it up. Any last thoughts or ideas before we let you go?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you for giving me your time today. Thank you for bringing me on. This is great. I've been able to share my story, not only for your fans, but for mine as well. And I just want to say continue with what you're doing. To everyone who thinks their hard work is not taking you anywhere, it's taking you somewhere. It might not be down the path you want, but you'll gain some skills that you can be able to transfer to something else. So just keep working, and the hard work will eventually pay off. Maybe not to your thought, but you'll look back and be like, I did that and it was worthwhile. So don't stop and don't give up.
Couldn't have ended it any better, man. What a fantastic episode with a young gun. Like I said, episode 154. So much more to come. Thank you to our sponsors, and we will see y'all on the next one.